Okay, friends, we're live. Good to see you on this Friday, May the 9th. It is CFLW, the show. Hope you're doing well. We've got a ton to talk about coming up in the show. We'll make it efficient. There's a lot going on, so I'll get through it as we can, because more than likely, I'm going to be seeing you back here live sometime late this afternoon, early evening, tracking more severe storms across the area. As we get started, CFLW, the show, as always, sponsored by the lean law firm of Central Florida. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys, anything that can impact you or your property. So we get the hail damage, we get the wind damage, hurricane damage. You've been in an auto accident. They'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. They do offer free consultation and policy reviews. Go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. Their logo is at the bottom of the screen. Good to see you guys on this Friday. How did the rest of yesterday play out? Obviously, I was on for a little bit more than 2 hours. We tracked several severe thunderstorms. We had some larger hail in a couple of spots. Storms were then still fairly widespread through the evening hours, although they didn't pulse back up to be severe. But we have the most active weather pattern I've seen here since late summer that will be moving across our area all the way through late Monday. We are going to have multiple rounds of severe weather. We are going to have multiple rounds of heavy rain. We're going to actually be talking about a potential flood threat down the road, going from a drought to a flood in a snap of a finger. And then we're going to have to talk about that very interesting feature in the north central Gulf of Mexico. And believe it or not, there is some model support that could become a tropical depression before it moves on shore in coastal Mississippi and Alabama. We'll look at all of that. As always, guys, love to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comment section below where you're viewing from. If you guys watched yesterday, let me know how it turned out in your area. You know, I had more storms here where I live, not severe, but again, more rain. You know, things are beginning to green up a bit, and there's a lot more to come across the area. And I'm going to break down what's going to be happening. Of course, you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. So again, we have this pattern which is now allowing this storms to go much farther off towards the south. It's picking up a ton of energy here in the northern Gulf of Mexico. And you can see, I've got the radar data on, but look at all of the lightning that goes deep into the southwest Gulf. And this is all going to be coming our way. Ahead of it, we're going to still be ejecting waves of mid-level energy ahead of the main system that, you know, may ultimately stay to our north, but it's going to keep us on the warm sector of this storm system. It's going to keep us very, very wet. And of course, we are starting to see our sea breeze interactions come into play. And so all of that just focuses a lot of tropical moisture, a lot of lift in the atmosphere, and a really good chance for showers and storms. The other thing about it is it's god awful hot and humid outside already. I got to tell you something. It's going to feel like midsummer before the storms fire up. At the 1 o'clock hour, temperatures for you right now, let me get all the way to 1 o'clock here. There's a lot of double snowmen on the board. You got a lot of 88-degree numbers right now. Daytona Beach, Sanford, Titusville, the Cape, DeLand, downtown Orlando, MCO, Leesburg, all in at 88. So is Inverness and Zephyr Hills and the Lakeland area. Ocala in at 90, Crystal River 86. We've got 88 in downtown Tampa as well. Hey, Kevin, good afternoon to you. I hope you're doing well. So a very steamy day ahead of the storms that are going to be developing here. Let me bring up the visible satellite imagery and put this back into motion for you right now. Kind of a murky sky, right, at this point in time. We actually have a little bit of a south wind developing in inland locations, but again, eventually we're gonna get our sea breezes to begin to come back on shore, and as they do, and as they congregate inland, we're going to get additional storms to fire up here. And again, this is all ahead of the main show, which may not completely clear our area until late on Monday. 4 more days of what's going to be some extremely active weather across the area. At this point in time, a few storms are trying to sneak up towards I-10 and the I-75 intersection, so even north of Alachua County. It's going to take a few more hours for this to ultimately begin to develop across Central Florida, but it's going to. And again, I expect there to be some strong to severe storms developing across our area again for today. So we got a lot to get into as far as that goes as well. Before we move into the forecast part of this and kind of break down what I expect the rest of the day, of course, we got to take a look at our cameras. Let's start off with Lake Conway. This was an area that got hit pretty hard late yesterday. You can see the development, the vertical development of the clouds already outside. Not a lot of wind. I stepped outside to do a little bit of yard work very briefly, got right back inside earlier. It's steamy. If for some reason you're getting some yard work done before the storms come in, doing some gardening, consider it to be like a June or July afternoon. It's quite muggy outside. Live look to winter garden. Again, fair clouds in the area at this point in time. Fair amount of sunshine, so again, it's pretty darn hot outside, but again, a little bit of vertical development to the cloud coverage already. In the Disney area, same situation. Again, nothing outrageous as of yet, but this is going to be the trend where we'll be quiet through the mid-afternoon hours, and then the storms will begin to ramp up in earnest for us here. But, it's not just our typical sea breeze storms. I want to be very clear about this. This is an extremely active overall pattern, and there's a lot of energy coming in from the Gulf of Mexico that's going to help things out. So now let's kind of break down what I expect today, and then we'll kind of go day by day. I've got your 3-day forecast for you guys as well across Central Florida. And as always, you have a specific question, drop it in the comments section below. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hi, Teresa. Grass is finally a little green. I'm right there with you. Teresa, everyone is going to get more rain. I promise you that. Everyone is going to get enough rain where we probably will be talking about some flood potential Sunday and Monday. It's outrageous to think about, but that's how quickly things have been switched around. Blue Goose, how you doing? 89 degrees, 57% humidity. Sounds like a, midsummer afternoon, partly cloudy skies. Good afternoon to you, Blue Goose. I hope you're doing well. So let's break down the risk for severe storms for today. If this looks very similar to yesterday, it absolutely is. The slight risk from the Storm Prediction Center, which is your 2 out of 5 on the risk scale, goes from about the same areas. It's just slightly elongated across I-95. So now instead of stopping in Indian River County, it goes a little bit farther south towards Port St. Lucie. But again, central eastern sides of the viewing area with the best chance. And when I say viewing area, I mean Central Florida. Folks obviously watch from across the entire area here, but you get the idea. Central eastern sides of Central Florida, the best chance for storms. Now, this is going to include all of Metro Orlando, all right? So Sanford, Kissimmee, Orlando, Lake Nona, the Apopka area, out west, Ocoee Winter Garden, UCF, Baldwin Park, Deltona, all of those areas under the slight risk. I really believe the storms are going to be very similar to yesterday, where they're going to try and develop right around I-4 and then punch east with the opportunity for additional storms to kind of recongregate again towards sunset west of I-4 and work their way east. And the question is, are those severe? The initial storms will probably be the most stout, but again, right across the I-4 corridor and working their way off to the east, but up towards I-10, Jacksonville, St. Augustine, Palm Coast, Fernandina Beach, on over towards Brunswick, Savannah, all with a relatively high chance to see active weather again for today. Main threat is going to be winds of over 60 miles an hour and inch-plus size hail. The tornado threat is pretty low for today. It's not zero, but it is pretty low. The Storm Prediction Center doesn't actually have a risk of, the last time I looked, and we can take a look at this together, Storm Prediction Center did not have even a 2% ring here. All right, so they put on a 2% ring. That seems plausible to me. As I just said, it's low, but it's not zero. Earlier in the day, they didn't even have this. Now, again, the Storm Prediction Center, they really kind of ramped things up day of, right? We mentioned that in yesterday's video as well. When I came on, that kind of day of, Storm Prediction Center just kind of, begins to hone in on the forecast. And, typically they see, things get a little bit more widespread and they up that chance. The hail risk is the lowest, 5% ring, meaning there's a 5% chance of some significant hail in your area. And then the wind threat is going to be the highest, the 15% area in yellow. And again, these are going to be for winds of over 60 miles an hour. Now, again, not everyone's going to get it, but if you live in the areas in yellow, you have the best chance. Not to discount the fact that there could be a few strong to severe storms even in our far western areas for today. The marginal risk does include Marion, central and western sides of the county. The slight risk is out to the east, Levy County, most of Citrus County, including Crystal River and Inverness, and then the interior sections of Hernando and Pasco and Hillsborough counties. General thunderstorms could develop right along the Tampa Bay area and push inland, but generally speaking, we're expecting the storms to be stronger and get severe the farther east that you go. Hi, Fiona. How you doing there? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Linda, how are you today? Cloudy here. Linda says we're getting the lowdown the upcoming weekend weather. You got it. That's exactly what it is. Again, coming to you guys live at this 1 o'clock show to break down what I expect over the coming days. And this is one of those where if you're watching during the live version, or if you're tuning in sometime, just a few hours later, you guys are getting the heads up. I appreciate everyone who tunes in when I'm live covering severe storms. But if you really want to keep in touch with Central Florida weather, I thank you guys for tuning in to these live shows, or even on the recorded version. Again, this will become recorded and drop into the live tab of the CFLW YouTube channel. For those who are here, thank you so much for taking a quick second and liking this live stream. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers. That's a very, very important number to get to sooner than later. So let's talk about this out here, all right? You can clearly see that there is some nice mid-level rotation right here. And this thing is getting stronger and stronger by the hour, all right? Let's look at the water vapor imagery associated with this. That's the visible. We'll get at that in a second. Here's the water vapor imagery. That'll loop up here in just 1 second. I want you to keep your eye down here. Do you see how this area is clearing out just a little bit? There is very broad spin, okay? And I mention this because I know it's May 9th, but it's not out of the question for the Gulf of Mexico to support a tropical system this early in May. As a matter of fact, I have to go back and look, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe 6 of the last 7 years we have had a named storm in May, all right? Now, this one is not gonna have a lot of time to try and wrap up and do something. But there is some tropical model support that within 24 hours, this might become a tropical depression. I know, sounds like I'm talking out of what, but I'll show you the models coming up in just a minute that support that. It's something we have to at least discuss. Now, appreciably for us, is it going to really change our forecast? No. But the fact that we're going to be potentially wrapping up a low-level center of circulation will obviously just provide even more stacked support. So if you get a stronger area of low pressure at the surface, it's supporting that mid-level rotation that we're already seeing, and a lot of energy coming out. Now, coastal Mississippi and Alabama, if they end up getting a weak tropical depression, obviously a little bit more of a storm surge issue, some beach erosion could be a problem there. But again, it's a very interesting scenario that could be playing out in the northern Gulf of Mexico in the next 24 hours. This is the visible satellite imagery with this for you guys. Fiona, I hope so. I hope so. Again, to continue doing this channel, we need that. It's as simple as that. We need more eyes on. And, I appreciate those who are such loyal supporters of the channel, but if you know anyone who might have some interest in this, let them know. I do appreciate that. Hi, Linda C. How are you? I got my 2 Lindas back with me today, Linda S. and Linda C. Happy Friday to you too as well. So again, visible satellite imagery. You can see there's been a little bit of a clearing on this southwest side as we're trying to get just a little bit of a notch right there. All right. So let me show you why I'm even talking about this. This is the European model, okay? Very, very skilled model when it comes to tropical weather. In the latest run this morning, from this morning just until tomorrow morning, 12Z is, 8 a.m. our time, all right? It develops a closed center of circulation where the pressure is low enough where it would support potential tropical depression status. Excuse me 1 second. All right. Right there, off the mouth of the Mississippi, into portions of southern Mississippi and Alabama. So Grand Isle, New Orleans, Biloxi, Mobile, right? Now, look, it doesn't have time to really do anything more than that. It's moving north. It tries to go inland. But is it plausible? I think it is, right? I think it's still less than a 50-50 chance. But again, the European model is supporting a low-level center that could become a tropical depression. How about that? Hey, Joe, how you doing? Good to know we have potential TD. Unfortunately, we lose power here in Plain City for hours and days when we get any type of severe weather. I understand, Joe. Luckily for us, and we'll go over the HER model and the GFS as well, that again, appreciably for Central Florida, it's not going to really matter if this becomes a depression or not. Potentially it kicks a little bit more energy east and maybe we get a little bit more heavy rainfall in a couple of spots, but this is more of just one of those eye-opening things that it's May the 9th and we see that. Now this is what we call the deterministic model run of the European model, right? It's the one that you would see that would be put out there that I'm showing you right now, but there's the ensemble, right? Which takes all the different iterations of the European model and puts it all on one map, right? So you have all the different ensemble members, they come together and they have the one deterministic, but I want to show you that it's not just like one or two of the European ensemble members that are showing low-level centers developing with this. It is a good cluster of the European ensemble members that show that. There is high support from the European model of a tropical depression literally developing tonight and overnight into early on Saturday morning before working its way inland, all right? It's just one of those things. You wake up tomorrow morning, you may hear about tropical depression number one. Again, I don't think it's a high chance, and not all the models support it, but the European model does. So there you go. Blue Goose prefers the European model. Blue Goose, I prefer the one that's right. You know what I mean? But that's my job. I look at all the different models and, I try and show you guys several different, scenarios. But ultimately, I do try and either say, look, I think this one's out to lunch, or I'm favoring this one, or I like a blend of this, But just looking at all of the different satellite loops in the last 6 hours, you can clearly see that we are trying to get a little bit more of a spin right there. Now, still more mid-level than anything, but we're also clearing things out in the southwest side, which should allow there to be a bit more low-level rotation. It's a very interesting scenario. Again, there's not a lot of time for this to happen, but there you go. So, the risk for severe storms for today. Again, back out to yellow. For tomorrow, all of Central Florida is under the marginal risk, okay? Doesn't matter where you are. We are going to get more than likely more severe storms for Saturday as well. Just like today, it's not going to shock me if part of our area gets upgraded to the slight risk. Again, this is your marginal 1 out of 5. You get to the yellow slight, that's 2 out of 5. Again, SPC likes to really upgrade those day of. So even though we're under just the marginal risk right now, it's not going to shock me if we get the slight risk for portions of the area. And then for Sunday, believe it or not, right now it's central and west with the marginal risk for severe weather, where I-95 could get upgraded to a marginal and portions of central and western sides of Central Florida could get upgraded to a slight. That's the bottom line, guys. There's going to be at least 3 more days, and quite honestly, Monday should be included in this as well. So really 4 more days of potential severe storms, very heavy rainfall, ponding on roads, flooding of low-lying areas. It's all coming. We've been talking about this drought, and we're flipping the switch, and we're getting back into some pretty nasty weather. All right, so let's break down the models, and then I've got your daily forecast, and we'll take a look at some of the rainfall totals that we could get out of the area. Again, if you guys have any specific questions, let me know. The excessive rainfall risk, by the way, for today, it's just in what's the 5 to 10% ring. But again, the areas with the active weather today, central and the eastern sides, do have a small risk for excessive flooding rains today. That will probably be built on in the coming days, right? We'll probably build on that excessive rainfall risk in the coming days. That's Saturday, still in the green. And now you notice, as I said, building. This is Sunday. Now the excessive rainfall risk gets higher. At this point in time, they're putting it slightly north of our area, but even down towards Orlando and I-4, a 3rd day in a row of an excessive risk. And then Monday, now we get into the higher category for the excessive rain. And it just makes sense, right? We're just building on the rain that we're getting every day. The soil becomes more saturated. We have a little bit of a river rise, or we have a little bit of, area waterways across your area rising a little bit. But more than anything, we're just filling up some of the low-lying areas with a lot of water. And now when it rains again, we just get more widespread flooding. Yep. Joe, I'm with you, man. The crazy thing about it is, again, we're going to probably fill up some of those ponds and lakes and then probably overflow some of those ponds and lakes. That's the snap of the finger that I'm want to try and get across to everyone. It really is going to be that kind of a difference. All right, so let's break it down. Let me go back here to this afternoon, and we're going to look at our HER model here over the next 48 hours. Then I'll show you guys the GFS model as well. Let me bring on the model timeline on the top left-hand side of your screen so you can follow it with me. So we're talking about today the 9th, Saturday the 10th, Sunday the 11th. Clearly, you can see the active weather that'll be spilling across our peninsula, right? Again, all kind of being ejected out of this system. Now, even the HER model, if I go back here, you notice that there is a nice spin, right? The biggest question is, do we build in a low-level center, right? Before this comes on shore, does this actually develop a low-level center where we could have a tropical depression? But regardless, appreciably, if you will, the forecast for us doesn't change. Kicking waves of energy out of the eastern Gulf, clashing with the sea breezes, which will be marching on shore, and those will be, interacting and allowing hefty storms to develop each afternoon and early evening, at least through Monday. Monday might actually be a day where we have more widespread just rain and some embedded storms and not have to worry about severe weather and flip over our concern to flooding. So I'm going to go real slowly here over the HER model, and we'll take a look at what's going to be happening. Make sure all of Central Florida is included in this. So again, HER model, next hour, we're still dry. Potentially the first signs of isolated showers and storms developing sometime in the 3 o'clock hour, but probably not flipping the switch today until after 4 o'clock. Guess what? The drive time home yesterday across I-4 was wet and stormy. The drive for I-4 this afternoon could potentially be the same situation. And again, as I've mentioned, between 5 and 6 o'clock, look what the HER model does. Right across I-4, Daytona, DeLand, Deltona, Sanford, Oviedo, Altamont Springs, Orlando, Lake Buena Vista, Kissimmee, Celebration, Haines City, Lakeland, beefy storms. And if they can develop discreetly like this, meaning that they are out by themselves, those are the storms with the highest opportunity for severe weather. Just like yesterday, we had one storm at the beginning, got all by itself at Apopka, and it produced inch-size hail, right? The storms that kind of congregate together, those are more of going to be your, wind threat, with some heavier rain. But the discrete cells will have the biggest hail chance. And we saw a couple of those yesterday as well. Hey, Garrett, how are you, man? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for tuning in from North Carolina. Yeah, Blue Goose, big spin. Again, mid-level spin. Does it become low-level spin? That's the big question. But here you go again, friends. 7 o'clock today. What's the chance that I'm not, again, on with you guys, during this time frame? You can clearly see the storms are just all over I-4, locked up, and then just like yesterday, should try and push off towards the east. Now, potentially still staying quite strong until right around sunset, and then probably losing that activity as we go overnight. So again, to back this back up for today, because it's quite important, if you have any plans, you absolutely have to stay weather aware if you're going to try and be outside after about 4 or 5 o'clock. Western areas, Tampa, Spring Hill, Crystal River, Denellen, Ocala, again, an isolated storm is possible, but no doubt it's central and east. Now, it's interesting because late yesterday, we had the same scenario where portions of interior Hillsborough and Pasco counties actually did get some rain. And the model is actually showing that again. It never made downtown Tampa, but it got close. Places like Brandon got some rain. But there you go. And then overnight, quiet again. Tomorrow morning, building. You can see that kind of picking up a little bit more. Now, tomorrow's shift potentially could be that these storms develop closer to I-75, right? So now Ocala, the Villages, Leesburg, Bushnell, places like that, Dade City, Polk City, Lakeland might start the initiation rather than missing everything off towards the east. My brother lives in the western part of the state here and was like, I've barely gotten any rain. And I'm like, we've been hammered. So it still is area dependent. But now the west might get in on the act a little bit more for tomorrow. But still, look at these storms fire up across I-4 for your Saturday afternoon and early evening, and then kind of sit across I-4 and work to the east. Overall, the chance for showers and storms tomorrow will be even higher, and the threat for heavy flooding rains will be even higher for Saturday as well. And some of this could linger into the late evening and the overnight hours. Probably just rain and embedded storms. But now, I've mentioned Sunday, right? The severe weather risk shifts a little bit towards the west coast on Sunday. Well, guess what? According to the HRRR model, as this system gets a little bit closer to us, it's not waiting to the afternoon hours. It's firing it up Sunday morning, Mother's Day. Not fantastic weather for Mother's Day. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but already by 8 a.m., you get an idea of what could be out there. And there's yet another line of storms developing to come through. It's an extremely active pattern for us. And again, just to show you, the severe weather risk for Sunday is out west so far. Could include everyone though. Again, they'll probably upgrade these as we go through the time. Gary said, hail here, North Carolina, golf ball size. Wow, we had, there was a warning yesterday for ping pong ball size hail in the Edgewater area. I haven't gotten a report out of that. We did see at least half-inch size hail. I hope they ultimately didn't get the ping pong there as well. Blue Goose says, I-4, formal driving experience in any weather, and rowdy weather. Yeah, I'm with you, man. Not there. Gotta show the Lean Law logo here. I've got my tumbler. All right, so you get the idea. This is the GFS model, and I'm going to take this out a little bit further in time. Let's go out to late Monday and show you this. Now, the GFS model is still going to show you that spin. Believe it or not, at this point in time, it's not supporting a low-level circulation. Keeps it mid-level, still has a ton of juice in the atmosphere, right? So same situation. I will say that all the models are basically pulling this straight into coastal Mississippi and Alabama. So nothing has really tried to shove it east even towards our panhandle. But again, we just stay wet and sloppy on the GFS model as well. Now let's pick this up. I'm gonna let it loop one more time. You know, her model, high resolution, the next 48 hours. I'm going to pick this up on Mother's Day, right? Now, are there going to be differences in the models? Absolutely. You know, Mother's Day right now on the GFS, it has a quieter morning. We'll see. Makes it a wet, stormy afternoon. And then Monday, there's your pockets of very heavy rain that'll be working its way there. And by pockets, look, the rain's going to be extremely widespread. There's basically 100% chance for rain across Central Florida on Monday. It's just how much do we end up getting, all right? But you can see that this lingers even towards the East Coast deep into Monday night. We probably won't completely clear out until early on Tuesday. And even then, it's not like we're bone dry starting on Tuesday. We just fall into a little bit more of a normal pattern. By the way, it's going to be extremely muggy outside at any point in time when it's not raining. It's going to feel like midsummer. It's going to be pretty nasty out there as far as that goes. All right. So again, a lot of green on the map coming through. Rainfall totals. The easiest way for me to do this is just to bring this on like this and then to zoom back in. These are your rainfall totals through the event. All right. Now again, GFS model. But you're going to see a lot of 4, 5, 6, 7+ inch rainfall totals. And again, let me be clear. This is starting now. This is not taking into account the rain that has already fallen. This is how much more rain could we end up getting, all right? And we average this out. But it's clear to see that we're favoring I-4 and I-95 for the heaviest rain. 4 to 6 widespread is likely. 8 inches plus isolated is absolutely not out of the question through Monday night. All right? You could easily be averaging 2 inches of rain a day in some spots between now and Monday evening. Especially, again, I-4 towards I-95. But even Ocala, the villages, Mount Dora, Groveland, Claremont areas, 2 to 3 plus, right? Ocoee, 3.5 more inches of rain. Now, again, lower amounts, generally speaking, the farther west that you go. But we'll see how it plays out. There's absolutely an opportunity that portions of Pinellas and Hillsborough and Manatee and Sarasota counties will get more than this, maybe double or more than that, if they get some of that heavier rain to come on shore. I think the chance here is going to be just a little bit lower overall. It's not going to be as widespread, but it's not going to shock me if we hear some reports from our western areas of 4 to 6 inches of rain. That's not going to surprise me either, right? And then we follow this north, again, Jacksonville, just to show you guys, Tallahassee, just look how widespread those totals are going to end up being. But again, for us, you've got a lot of numbers here that are 4, 5, 6 inches, and there'll be locally higher amounts than that. So muggy, Fiona. This is the overall pattern from that Omega block that we called it, right? Where all of the energy got shoved south. So this was actually a low that came out of the Four Corners and moved through South Texas and emerged into the Northwest Gulf. And because we had digging trough and a lot of energy in the south already in play because of the overall upper air pattern, we got what we're going to get. It would be the easiest way for me to describe it. This is the infrared visible sandwich, so we call it, the composite, if you will, of both that. I mean, again, you can see all of that energy even dripping off to the south. That's why there's all that lightning down there as well. But again, the area that I'm very interested in here is right here. You see that little clearing? It's an interesting spot. And by the way, again, these are, oil platforms that are offshore, and I have access to their data. So these are wind gusts, right? As that potential developing center came through, that platform had what, basically 40 mile an hour wind, 40 mile an hour gust right there. So there you go. That's what we'd be watching out for. Hey Joshua, how you doing? North Miami Beach in the house. Appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for joining. And again, if you guys haven't yet, do me a quick favor, hit that like button for this live stream. Let's do what we can to try and get to 1,000 subscribers as soon as we can. It's going to help the channel more than you guys even actually know. So I appreciate that. All right. So, as always, we break down some forecasts for you guys. Here's what it looks like. For Orlando, again, severe storms likely today. Severe storms likely tomorrow, and likely Sunday afternoon and early evening. Overall, the chance for storms is going to be a 70% chance. Again, locally heavy rainfall, main threats with the storms, winds of over 60 miles an hour, and at least an inch size in hail. Hopefully no more than that, but that's the biggest threat. An isolated tornado threat does accompany this, but again, it's not the biggest widespread issue. Then we just break out heavy rain and storms on Monday. I'll monitor the opportunity for severe storms, but it is just going to be an appreciably wet day. Again, sometime late Sunday and especially on Monday, we kind of transition from a, intense severe weather threat to a flood threat with all of the rain that we're going to be picking up over the next 4 days, right? Temperature tomorrow, 88, 85 Sunday, back to 81 on Monday. I don't think we're going to get a lot of sun at all on Monday. We'll still hit 81 degrees. But again, when we break out into the sun tomorrow and Sunday mornings, just like today, it's going to be very, very muggy outside. It's not going to be great, not very comfortable to go out. For Tampa, again, the opportunity for some severe storms, maybe not today, but tomorrow and Sunday. For sure, Sunday, I think, is our best chance in Tampa. 70 tomorrow, 90 Sunday, and then just wet on Monday. 100% chance for rain. Some of that will be heavy. Some of that will be embedded thunderstorms. Still 90 degrees tomorrow. And again, we get a little bit of sunshine that helps to destabilize the lower levels of the atmosphere. It heats things up. It's like putting fuel on the fire. So, again, that's why these storms can get rowdy with the sunshine. 88 on Sunday, and again, thick clouds on Monday, and an 82-degree daytime high, morning lows in the 70s. For Crystal River, again, severe weather, possible Saturday, and then likely on Sunday. So severe storms will be a chance. Look at the overall rain, 80, 90, then 100% on Monday. Locally heavy rain in some of these areas of Citrus County as well. Crystal River, Lecanto, Inverness included in that. 87 the daytime high tomorrow, 86 on Sunday, and back to a high of just 80 degrees and extremely wet weather. And again, a flood potential and even coastal sides of the Nature Coast on Monday. Now, potentially the farther west that you go, slightly lower chance because overall the rain totals may be a little bit lower compared to central and east. That being said, we pick up enough rain in a short amount of time anywhere. Saturated soil already with the drought conditions, more runoff. It's going to be more of a widespread problem than I think I'm trying to pass that along because we've been talking about this drought for so darn long. It's hard to wrap our heads around the fact that now we're going to have some flood areas, especially Sunday and Monday. Melbourne again. Now, the storms may be a little bit more scattered, but still 60, 70, then an 80% chance. But Melbourne is one of those areas, Melbourne and Daytona Beach, and Palm Bay and the Micco area all the way up the east coast where these storms will be probably the highest intensity, right? So even though Melbourne has a 60% chance for storms tomorrow compared to 80 or 90 in other areas, the most intense storms could be over Brevard County. Same thing for Sunday afternoon as well. And then Monday, an 80% chance for showers and storms. Heavy rain out there. Flood threat will come along for the ride. 86 tomorrow, 85 Sunday, and 82 on Monday afternoon. Rusty, are we eligible Nino or El Nino or El Nino? We right now are in a completely neutral pattern. La Nina is gone. All right. So now we're in calling INSO neutral pattern. We do not have an El Nino. We do not have a La Nina. The overall thinking forecast as we go through summer and hurricane season in general is that we might begin to slip into a weak El Nino, but it probably won't be appreciably strong enough to really have any big impacts on our weather. Okay. So we're not going to be really focused, at least for now, on an El Nino or a La Nina and the impacts it could bring us. All right. So now we just kind of get the more, analogous, systems and storms that we typically see rather than, leaning to one side or the other. But it's a great question. We came out of a La Nina last month. We're in a neutral pattern, at least as of now. Fiona, you okay? I'm just reading your messages. In the hospital? Well, I hope you're doing all right. Obviously, you're a big part of this channel, and we appreciate you being back, and I hope you're doing well. Let's all give some love to Fiona. I didn't know that, Fiona. Thanks for letting us know, and I hope you are doing better. But I appreciate you tuning in. I was wondering where you might have been. First of all, a cruise is a lot better place to be in a hospital. I mean, if you were not going to be here, moderating the chat, you better be doing something fun. So I'm glad you got that part of it. The other aspect of being in the hospital, no, we don't like that as well. But anyway, I do hope you're doing well. All right, friends. So again, let's break down what's going to be happening for today. We've actually been on even longer than I expected. I was trying to make this succinct because I know what's going to be happening coming up. But again, temperatures right now, upper 80s to right around 90 degrees. Steamy, muggy outside. Storm system off towards our west. This is coming, friends. It's coming with a vengeance. Visible satellite, radar, look at all of that lightning. Again, this kicks in later today with strong to severe storms. We do it again Saturday. We do it again Sunday. And we have some potential heavy rain and maybe even a severe threat on Monday, though I think the best or the worst scenario, if you will, is that we're going to get a lot of rain and some flooding on Monday. Again, your risk for severe storms for today looks like this. Your dark green area is your marginal 1 out of 5 from the Storm Prediction Center. Your yellow is your 2 out of 5. That's your slight risk. And that goes all the way up towards Savannah and just north into the southern sides of South Carolina. But all of our coast, our East Coast, is under that slight risk. And it goes pretty deep inland. It includes all of Citadel County. It includes all of Orange County and all of Osceola County. So Kissimmee, St. Cloud, Orlando, Sanford DeVito, DeLand, Deltona, Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, Palm Coast, Bunnell, Titusville, Merritt Island, Palm Bay, all included in that. And even in our far western areas, Ocala Villages, on over towards Claremont, Lakeland, there's your marginal risk. Only in the Tampa Bay area are we under the general chance for just showers and storms rather than having any severe threat. All right, friends, that's going to do it for the show right now. Again, there is a very, very high likelihood that I will see you guys back here later today covering these storms live. As always, CFLW, the show is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. Friends, they cover the entire state. We never like to think about it, but if anything has impacted you or your property, so if you've been in an auto accident, or you have hail or hurricane damage or wind damage, they can help you. They'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. Do you want to support someone who supports the channel? You can check out and get more information by going to leanonmelaw.com. Again, I appreciate you guys taking a quick second and liking this live stream. If you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. Even if you're watching the recorded version, feel free to do that. Again, when I'm done live, this gets archived under the live tab of the CFLW YouTube channel, and you can watch it at your leisure. If you are a subscriber, I really do expect you guys, or not expect, I would emphasize having all notifications on, right? So if you go to the bell or the notifications, click all. Again, because this is only a live channel, you're not going to get inundated with notifications. There's no video updates or anything like that. Just these Monday and Friday live streams, and then anytime there's severe weather. So you have those notifications on. Okay, Rusty's on, something's happening, I need to tune in and see what's happening. That's my suggestion for you guys. Appreciate everyone in the chat today, you guys. Again, stay safe, take care. Very high likelihood I'll see you later today, but obviously at any point in time this weekend when there is some severe weather to talk about, I'll be back on to see you here at the channel. Until then, thanks to all my friends for tuning in. I'll see you guys real soon.